Why is the House of Lords larger than the House of Commons? Why is there no limit on the size? Why is there no scrutiny of the skill set of the people who are appointed or of the commitment that they're making to take part in the House? The most important issue we came to was that there should be a limit on the size. You should not have the ability to simply appoint the number of people that you wish.
Tom Randall, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Lord Burns, why is the size of the House a problem?
Well, from the point of view of capacity and cost, etc., I don't think it is a huge issue. There are some practical problems. There is congestion with question times. Speaking times are often very limited. Peers don't have their own offices. They share offices. They've got very limited room for staff. But I think the real issue about the size is not only about the level of it, but what has been happening to the size and the extent to which it damages the reputation of the House, the extent to which it distracts attention from the important work that takes place. As I speak to people about it, there are some very good questions that most people put to me on this subject. Why is the House of Lords larger than the House of Commons? Why is there no limit on the size? Why should the Prime Minister be able to appoint any number of people he chooses to the House of Lords and for whichever party he wishes to appoint them to? Why is there no scrutiny of the skill set of the people who are appointed or of the commitment that they're making to take part in the House? And we have the issue of several appointments of people who appear to, with personal connections, which raises questions. And as we heard this morning earlier, there is this ongoing issue of separating the question of peerages as an honour and whether it is actually to play an important role in the legislative chamber. And those questions get asked to me all the time when I go around and speak about the work of the Lord Speaker's Committee. And actually, to be perfectly honest with you, they're very difficult questions to answer. And it does nothing for the reputation of the place that the numbers can rise in a way which appears to be random, very much about political pressures, about what the decisions that prime ministers wish to make. And so the key parts of the recommendations that we made were not only that it would be better if the House of Lords was smaller, although it's almost a secondary issue. The most important issue we came to was that there should be a limit on the size. You should not have the ability to simply appoint the number of people that you wish to be members. In fact, and we don't know of any other legislative chamber which has these characteristics. And so the size is very much tied up with the issue about a limit on the size and the impact that it has upon the reputation of the House. I mean, we started from the work that we did, and it was really part of the remit, in a way, which was how to get the size of the House of Lords and down so that it was less than the size of the House of Commons, and to keep it that level and to have mechanisms in place which meant that it could not simply, for the future, rise again.
Is there a slight contradiction if the House of Lords is a house of expertise, that it might be larger so that expertise can be drawn on as and when necessary?
Right. There is something in that, and but I don't think it answers the question about whether there should be a limit on the size. It seems to me the consequences that we have, with this combination whereby there is no limit on the size, and the Prime Minister can choose how many people he or she can choose how many people they wish to appoint to the House of Lords, of whichever party they choose. You create a mechanism for leapfrogging each time there is a change of government. And there is no limit on the extent to which that leapfrogging could take place. Now, that seems to me to be not only bad in itself, but it is really very bad for the reputation of the House of Lords as a serious body which is scrutinising legislation and doing the work that it is doing.
How did you get to the figure of 600, or how was that settled on?
Sorry?
How was the figure of 600 as a limit? How was that settled on?
It was mainly that it should be no larger than the House of Commons, and the plan at that time was that the House of Commons was going to be reduced to 600. But as we heard this morning from the former Lord speakers, when you look at the issue of what has been the sort of attendance that is there for major pieces of legislation and major business, the membership of committees that the House wishes to run, the view was, and we didn't go into this in any great detail, but our working assumption was that a House of 600 would certainly be able to do all of the tasks that we felt that were necessary.
Why is a cap necessary to achieve that? I think
the cap is not necessary to achieve that. The cap would be necessary in a sense to maintain that. Because if you don't have a cap, then you expose yourselves to the problems that we have seen over the last 30, 40 years of the increasing numbers. I should give you some numbers. At the time of the 1979 election, there were about 300 life peers in the House. At the time of the 1997 election, there were around 400 life peers in the House. At the time of the 2010 election, this had become 600, and today it is around 700. They're not quite accurate, they're round numbers. But the mechanisms that we have at the moment are mechanisms which encourage this leapfrogging, because what the experience is that the party that is in government makes the large majority of its appointments, of political appointments, to its own party. And then if you have a change of government, this has to be reversed, which requires another large increase. And this is what is producing the leapfrogging. And therefore, we came to the view that if you wanted to stabilise the size of the House, you had to have a mechanism for controlling the number of appointments so that you could not exceed the limit. But secondly, and we may want to come to this later, that you required a mechanism for a fair allocation of the seats between the parties, so that you didn't get such a large number of appointments to the governing party, which then had to be overcome if there was a change in the government. One of your earlier questions this morning was, someone alluded to, was about if there was a change of government now, or why was it that the size has been stabilised over the last 6 years or so? Because since we started our work, the size has been about the same. And the stark reason for that is because there has been no change of government during that period, and therefore we haven't got to the leapfrogging, the next leapfrog, which may be about to happen, who knows. But certainly the present position, for a change, if there was a change of government, the present situation would be very uncomfortable for the incoming government in terms of the balance of its own numbers compared to the opposition, and in terms of the people who would have to fulfil the front bench responsibilities that they would have.
Thank you. John Stevenson, quick supplementary.
Thank you. If you did cap it at 600 and you had a fixed cap and that was it, how then does a government appoint ministers?
Because you have to have with it a mechanism that is going to be creating a steady flow of vacancies.
Okay.
So, I mean, at the moment there are about 20 to 30 vacancies a year. We put forward a proposal that there should be 15-year terms, which would, over time, deliver 30 to 40 vacancies a year, and there would be room within that to make those appointments.